mais importantes recursos da natureza, que deveria ser um direito humano assegurado, mas que cada vez mais entra na mira dos grandes bancos e fundos de investimento, dispostos a lucrar bilhões com um novo grande produto: a água. Antes vista como algo abundante que pertence a todos, a água hoje já passa por um processo de financeirização. E há países como a Austrália e os Estados Unidos que já têm até um mercado da água. De olho nesse movimento, que caminha em paralelo com a crise da água em todo o mundo, o premiado diretor francês Jérôme Fritel decidiu investigar esse tema e filmar Os Senhores da Água. Ele nos contou como essa questão envolve, além de visões de mundo, questões ambientais e políticas, claro, a economia mundial. Confira.
A few years ago, I directed a movie on a very famous American bank named Goldman Sachs. It was Goldman Sachs, the bank that rules the world. And during that investigation, it was in 2011, a few years after the financial crisis, I noticed that the bank has already been interested by the water business, and that this bank was turning around water and to see how it was possible to transform water into a commodity and how to create a market for water like it exists today for oil, for example, or rice or wheat or whatever you want, you know. And the bank organized a huge meeting in New York, and they invited their best clients. When you're best customer of Goldman Sachs, means you're playing with billions. It's hedge funds, big international bank, huge companies, or very rich person. So they invited the 200 best customers, and the pitch of the meeting was, "Is water the new oil?" And I was very impressed by the way they were looking at water. And during 2 days, they had their specialist explaining how it might be possible one day to transform water into a commodity. But at the end of the day, they decided that it was a bit early to do that they have to wait a little bit, especially because people were not really ready for that. So I put this information in a little box in my head, you know, and I was very surprised to discover that it was already done in several countries. This is not a film about the future, it's a film about the present times. And for example, you have a country like Australia who have implemented 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago, in 2007, they have started to implement some water markets. They are considering water as a commodity that you can put on the market, you can trade water. So I was quite shocked to see that we were living in a world where some people has already started to look at water in a businessman way. And so that was the start of my investigation. And it took me about 2 years to direct this movie.
They don't feel guilty for this. For us, it's quite immoral. I don't think we should see water as something that, as you said, it belongs to everybody.
Well, I think that these people are people mainly coming from the financial industry. And they really think that, I mean, water is the last border. I mean, there's no other commodity which today is not part from a market. I mean, at least you have fresh air, maybe, and even with the carbon market, you can buy some carbon taxes, so you have the right to pollute some places, you know. But it's the last natural resource which has not been commoditized until now. And so these people are looking water as if it was gold, blue gold, the gold of the 21st century. And some of these people are really motivated by greed. But some other people are really thinking that we're facing a water crisis and it's going to be worse in next decades, and that we have to organize a market to save water, and that's water market is for them in their mind the best tool to try to elaborate a new organization around water. In this new world, everybody will have quantity of water, and if you want more, you have to buy it. And so if it is like that, who is going to have the priority on water? So it's a question of repartition of the water. Is it first for people, inhabitants, either in cities or in countryside areas, rural areas? Is it first for factories? Is it for agriculture? Today in the world, 70% of the fresh water is used for agriculture, means for food and also for fabrics, for everything, you know. And these people are coming from the financial industry and from the liberal philosophy, and they say, well, the best way to attribute the water is to go through the market, and then people will have a lot of money, they could buy a lot of water. If you have little money, you will have just the minimum you need to live, and then after, if you want some more, you have to pay more. So I think it's frightening, but some of the people I met are really thinking that's the best solution, that's the right tool, and that they're right in their thinking, in their motivation. That's why these people agreed to meet me and to answer the interviews, because they were thinking they were kind of pioneers in this new organization around water.
By the way, do you agree with them?
Well, I spent a lot of time with them, first to convince them about my work. And I thought it was very important to give them time to explain their vision, because when you investigate such topics, if you just meet people who you only agree with, you know, you just have a part of the story. I mean, I was quite honest with them. I say, well, I'm not sure. I don't share your point of view, but let's talk about it, you know. And so that's exactly what happened. And you can see bankers in Wall Street, very straight, explaining you that you'll have to pay for water as you pay for your insurance life, as you pay for gas or electricity. For example, you are in Australia, where they have implemented such reform in 2007. Its name is Water Act, and it's the first step of the privatization of the water. And how does it work? Well, it's very simple. Each year, we gave you a certain amount of water in liters, you know, if you are an individual, an agriculture, a farmer, or if you run a factory. And well, you have this amount of water for you for the year. If you need more, you buy more. If you have too much, you can sell it back on the market, and so you can earn a bit of money. Okay. So what is the situation 13 years later? It's like in every places where you implemented markets. I mean, the rich people are becoming richer, and the poor people are becoming poorer. The family farmers in dry years, such as the last 3 years, for example, they don't receive enough water at the beginning of the year to grow their crop or to feed their animals, and so they cannot buy in the market. It's too expensive. So, well, they stop farming and they sell the farm. And who's buying back the farms? The big farming industry. So we know the rule of the market, and rich get richer, poor gets poorer. And if you do that with water, it's extremely dangerous because water is life. I mean, you cannot play with life like that. You cannot trade life. Just one statistic. If you don't drink water during 3 days, you just die. Your body is dying. So I think water is not something yet that you can commoditize just like oil, wheat, rice, or whatever. Water is precious. Water is life. Water is unique. You cannot replace water by something else. So we should have an exception, and we should keep water in the common good and out of the market. I don't believe in water wars. It's like apocalyptic vision. I don't believe in that. Humankind is sometimes nicer than it appears, you know, sometimes. That's why I thought that this new era that these people in the movie are promoting is really a game changer. Because once you start to privatize water, then there's no limit at all. But facing that, there are people who are really ready to protect the natural resource and are refusing their government to go in that direction.
How do you see this reality in Latin America? You mentioned Chile, but there was a proper kind of war in Bolivia when they tried to privatize. Sure. And how do you think Latin America is a little bit different from Australia, as you showed, or California?
Well, I don't think Latin America is different. You have a country like Chile, for example. Water is fully privatized in Chile. It's incredible. Nobody has gone so far. I mean, in rural areas in Chile, the water from the river, I mean, the river itself has been privatized, and people were living in a small village. They cannot go anymore to the river to take their water. Most of people know that this is not the solution. But we have to admit that today we're facing water crisis. In the coming decades, we'll have less water, and we have more and more people, and our way of living is using more and more water. So we have to face the problem, how to distribute the water, how to prioritize the consumption of water. And do we have to put a price on water? And maybe the solution is not going through the market, but is teaching people how to use in a clever way the water, how not to overconsume the water, how to save it, how to reuse it, you know. And it might be the real answer to the question of the water crisis in the world. Since 2012, there's a huge and worldwide movement to protect the water and to consider the water as a human right. It has been debated at the UN annual session. We had a vote on that, thanks to some people really fought very hard to obtain this international recognition of water as a human right. But as we all know, this fight is not over. I'm still a dreamer. I think we can change the world, and I hope we'll find our way in few months, and we'll be back to our natural interaction between human beings. And so I think it's important to have festival and everywhere in the world, and there's a lot of festival screening, a lot of beautiful documentaries. It's like it's a collective patrimoine. It's somebody who belongs to everybody.
Oh, Jérôme, thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Obrigado.
Esse foi Jérôme Fritel, diretor de Os Senhores da Água. Fique ligado, ainda tem muito mais conversas como essa na Mostra Ecofalante 2020.